Think about how you actually get better at something hard. You try it, you fail, and then you talk yourself through what went wrong before you try again. Now, most machine learning throws that away. When a model fails, we compute a gradient and nudge the weights. Reflection, from a paper by Shinn and colleagues in 2023, does something almost human instead. The agent writes itself a note about the mistake in plain language and reads it back on the next try. Here's how that loop works. Reflection is really one loop that runs over and over. Follow it once and the whole idea clicks into place. Everything starts with an attempt. The agent takes a real swing at the task, maybe writing a function or working through a multi-step problem, and produces a full answer just like any normal agent would. Then feedback arrives. A unit test fails, an answer comes back wrong, or the environment returns a signal that the attempt did not land. Crucially, this signal can be sparse. Even a simple pass or fail is enough to work with. Here comes the heart of it. A reflection step writes a short verbal self-critique. What went wrong and what to try differently next time. Not a number, not a gradient, actual sentences the model can read later. Finally, that reflection gets stored in memory and folded into the context for the next attempt. So the agent tries again, now carrying its own written advice, and each pass builds on the lesson from the last one. So why does this matter? Line it up against the way we usually make models improve. Reinforcement learning updates the weights. It turns reward into a gradient and slowly reshapes millions of parameters across many episodes. That works, but it is heavy, it needs training infrastructure and a lot of trials, and every lesson gets blurred into the numbers where you can no longer read it back or point to what the model actually learned. Reflection updates a text memory instead. The lesson lives as language the model wrote to itself, so nothing in the network changes. You get iterative improvement from pure prompting. You can literally open the memory and see what the agent decided it learned, and you can edit or audit that advice the way you would any other note. Strip it down and 3 ideas carry the whole method. Reflection in words. Instead of a scalar reward, the agent converts feedback into natural language criticism it can actually reason over on the next attempt. Episodic memory. Those reflections are saved across attempts, so the agent accumulates a running history of its own mistakes rather than starting fresh every time. Zero weight updates. Nothing about the base model changes. Reflection sharply lifted coding and reasoning agents on benchmarks like human eval and decision-making tasks, using only prompting, which means the same frozen model gets better simply by keeping better notes. Alright, let us lock in the essentials. Reflection lets an agent improve without any weight updates, from a paper by Shinn and colleagues in 2023. After a failure, it writes a short verbal self-critique and stores that reflection in episodic memory. On the next attempt, the reflection rides along in the context, so the agent learns from its own mistakes in plain language. Because it is prompting rather than fine-tuning, it lifted coding and reasoning agents cheaply. Want more of these AI ideas unpacked without the jargon? That is exactly what we do over at Standarity.com. See you there.